Our next speaker, welcome, Jean-Philippe.
So much.
Thank you very much for joining us today. We've been talking a little bit about his previous experience. Now you're at Celebrite, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Since 8 years.
Since 8 years. Yeah. Okay, that's a long time. And you've been telling me about, well, one of the things that we haven't mentioned here, but I think it's important that we remind this, is like, the work that we do matters, and matters a lot. Sometimes we don't have that perspective because we are fighting with some ransomware threat actor. But I was discussing a few minutes ago with him about the work he did in a very relevant event in Europe, in Paris, okay?
Yeah.
With the Bataclan attack, you may remember a few years ago. And you were explaining me how important it was and how difficult it was actually to prevent. There was a first attack and then you were trying to prevent the second attack. Mm-hmm. Can you explain me how important it is and what challenging it was?
So quickly to summarize, we have more than 500 phones that were mixed between the victims and the terrorists. So we have to identify who belonged to what, and of course to try to avoid the second attack. So to identify as quickly as possible the content of the phone from the terrorists. So it was a very impactful human adventure. So we were with all the police staff, and we worked about 48 hours non-stop to try to, to make some triage. And to be honest, we were absolutely not ready when this event happened. But finally, we avoid the second attack, finding some nice evidence with the different device, and so we could avoid that. And for the human point of view, as I said to Jess, it's very important because it changed my life personally forever.
I can imagine. And I think that reminds us how important it is, the work we do here, the community we create, and the tools and the analysis that can definitely change from being an hour or 30 minutes to multiple days and just missing the point, okay? So thank you very much. He's going to be sharing with us some very interesting stuff about PDF authenticity, which is a very hot topic.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me correctly with my stupid French accent? So that's amazing. So let's start first to try to explain the topic. So the topic, we have a lot of fake PDF, especially based on computer forensic. So we don't know if they are the original one or they are, they have been modified manually or by some tools. And so the challenge was, in this case, to identify if we could really find a valuable method that could help on our case. Okay, so first, we need to define what is a PDF, and it's not so simple. You will see that there are three different ways, three different forms on PDF. And in the same time, we need to see the challenge of this PDF forensic. So how we could retrieve valuable data, which metadata we could find, and we will see that we didn't have the choice. We need to understand the internal structure of the PDF so that we are going to work with objects. And so how to define this object, because most of the time, you know that PDF is compressed, it's encoded, so you don't see the different layers, and so it could be sometimes challenging. And so we will see how a PDF is decoded, and then we share you, okay, the different tools I've been using for that different case I work with, and I will do some practical example. Just the thing, I'm not, because I know you are a very big professional, very famous professional here, so I am not going to use a QR code, but a real link, so it will make our life easier, and you can trust me, okay? So, next. So now, first, we talk about PDF. You know, there is an ISO 32000, which defines the content of the PDF. And by the way, I will give you a link with a full PDF, definition, because here I'm going to use some definition about scripting, etc. I don't have the time because unless my dear Zineb will kill me, so I need to respect the timing. But really, if you have any question, please, you can come back to me, but you can also use the link I'm going to provide to you so that you have a full definition, a book about 1,200 pages. So definitely you can have some things to read for tonight and be able to take the plane tomorrow or to follow the wonderful Sans course. So first, it's independent between OS and software. So the goal is to present text and images together. So what can we do in the forensic point of view? First, we need to see if it's a fake or not. And sometimes it could be very challenging. You know that a PDF, you can write something, and then suddenly you discover that you win $1 million, or also you don't have anything to reimburse. It depends on which size or which sense you are going to use it. So the goal of this PDF forensic approach first is to identify some evidence of forgery. The problem is, and you will see over internet, it's not so easy to find. So really, you don't find a lot of study, and what you find is quite outdated. So really, and looking because it's coming from a real case, of course, I had to understand the internal structure of the PDF. I have no choice. By heart, absolutely no, of course, but at least to identify the different objects and to learn how a PDF is made. So this is the goal here, because when you understand can you still hear me? Yeah. When you understand the different layers of PDF, you will see that you will be able to rebuild the PDF or even to disconstruct. So it means to rebuild the original document. And this is super nice, because when you understand that, when you understand the different layer, so you know in which, where it has been modified and how you could detect it. So first, we are going to analyze the PDF, or in the visual point of view, and retrieve what's the source of this PDF, because this could be already a first evidence. And this is the tip, which could be the most complex thing, but it's super important. We need to retrieve the original source, so the same source. I give you an example. You have an invoice from Amazon. This is the example we are going to use. You need to have an example of a real Amazon invoice. You are going to use, I don't know, a Word document or a training for Sans, which is super well protected. You need to have a real training and see that how it is protected. So really, if you don't have an original source, it will be much more challenging. And of course, each time, it's live. So each time we are going to work with a PDF, we also need to analyze the complexity of the document. So, of course, if we have one invoice, it's easy. If you have a document of 600 pages, definitely it's more challenging, okay? So my method, the thing I'm going to show you, is definitely working well with small document. Is it going to work well with a book of 1,000 pages? I cannot say, okay? And so we need to reverse the code of the PDF, and so understand the different objects. We need to find also hidden images and hidden data. If you use, the Mac, you annotate a PDF, you see that you have something in black on your text or whatever. So really that could be detected, okay? That could be detected because the PDF is always getting bigger. It's never getting thinner. So it means that it's going to keep the whole object, but you are going to increase the size of the PDF. So, of course, there are no miracles. As I said, a document that is printed, rescan, or you export a document in JPEG, then put it in PDF again, you are going to lose all the metadata, you are going to lose all the different layers, all the different objects. So I'm not going to promise something unless I would do some politician, okay? So really here, we are technical, so we are really very pragmatic. So if we have a PDF that is modified and generated in a new PDF, yes, it's going to work. If going to another method, sometimes it could be challenging. Okay, so 3 categories here for the PDF. You heard about PDF-A. Most of the time, you are working with your Mac or with your PC or with your Linux, of course. We are working with PDF-A. Sometimes you need to have all the fonts included, so everything is integrated. So you are going to print a document. Here you are going to use what we call PDF-X. And sometimes you want to draw an engine from a plane, or you need to have very big detail in your PDF, or a map from the tube. Even it works like that. You can have a PDF-E, which is for high resolution, engineering document. Okay, so you will find these 3 standards. Most of the time, to be honest, we are working with PDF-A. So, why it could be complex? Because first we can have several versions. If you just look inside, you can have 1.4, 1.5, 1.7, 1.7, 2.0. So it means that you can have some extra object you are not aware or you do not detect. So this is the challenge. Second, it may not be clean. So because you use some extra tools to modify, the PDF, sometimes it's not clean. It means that the object is not referenced, or you will see that we need, for instance, to have end of file somewhere, and you could not find end of file. So depending on the viewer, sometimes you can view the PDF in one program, and you cannot view on another program. And sometimes you can have encrypted data. You know that you are working with malware every day, so you know that PDF can transmit malware with a stream, encoding stream, or encoding and I would say encrypted streams. So it could be very complex. And the object, as I said, are always sequential. So 16, 17, 18, 19. So it means that as soon as you have the original object, definitely it could help to analyze, the extra object. So it means that, if you take, for instance, an Amazon invoice, you have 16 objects. And then you have an extra, you are analyzing an Amazon invoice, and here you see 32 objects. Because you have the original first, something is getting bad. Then you will have the capability to retrieve the fonts. How many family of fonts do I have? I have the same font's name, but the internal object, we have 2. So it means that definitely it means something. It's not an original one, I should have 1. And sometimes also I'm changing the logo. You see, I'm changing the logo. I say it's not this company, it's another company. And so with the method I'm going to show you, you will be to retrieve all the hidden messages, because you think you are deleting an image, but no, you are adding an extra image on the first one. And so this is the key. And really, this is the method where I'm going to propose you with Python script, etc. So let's deep dive into it. Again, no need to really go really deep into it, just to know that it exists. First, we have the header. The header has its own signature. So we have 1.0 to 1.7, then 2.0, so it depends. And normally, what we see is more between 1.4 to 1.7, 2.0, not very often, but you can find it because it exists till 2020. Then we have the body, with different objects. Remember that the objects are the key for PDF. And always, if you look at a PDF, I don't know, if you are looking, for instance, the keyword price, you will not see it. You think, you know that it's in the text, it's somewhere, but you don't see it. And that could be sometimes difficult to understand why we see it when we print the PDF. So we see the price. We can look, with a search engine, you can look at the price. But if you are looking at the code, you don't see anything. And so that's why the object, I do not believe that someone will manually, or it could happen, but someone will manually work into the PDF code. They always use extra tools, such Adobe or whatever, and then add some more object. And so you get the file bigger and bigger and bigger. And so what we have also, we have what we call the cross-reference table, so XREF. XREF is going to say, okay, this object is linked to this object is linked to this object, etc. So we always have XREF reference in a PDF. And then we have a trailer. And this is nice because when you have a modified PDF, what's going to happen? You have a trailer in each PDF that contains the data and the cross-reference table, the dictionary, and the difference pointer. But when you are going to modify the PDF, you will have a second trailer. Then we need to identify the second reference table, the second dictionary, then the second pointer, the second font, etc., until the end of file. And this is nice because when you understand the file like this, what does it mean? It means that, yes, this time you are going to exactly know that it's not an original one. You have 2 layers, 3 layers, 4 layers of PDF. So that is the challenge. That is the challenge I'm proposing you. So let's go to see. This is again an example, okay? So you have a number, then the version, okay? And you have the content. So this is how it looks like for an object, okay? So the trailer, starting with the keyword trailer, and then you have a dictionary, like almost all object. You need to have to define what is the root. Then you have the size of XREF element, which could be, okay, nice if you want to deep dive because it could give you an info. And you have the pointer to XREF, and then you have the start XREF with the offset. It's always working between the link and object. And we talk about offset because when we want to talk about streams, about the content, the binary content itself, it's working with offset. And we need, at the end, to have end of file, okay? The challenge is because you know, it's made by Adobe, so it could be sometimes quite complex. So you can have some comment, you can have some hex, you can have some object ref, you can have the generation number, so it gives you the number of versions. So here, again, no need to know by heart, but you know, if you have something like 301, it's definitely different than 30R1 because, and you will find the second writing more often. So you will have one element and the object number and then the generation number. So here what we need to know is the name of object, so we are going to use the name of object. And this is where sometimes you have bugs because the name of object are not correct or you have some case issue. So that's why sometimes nothing is printed. And here you just need to know why you need to know that. Is because in your testing you are going to remove part of this object to be able to retrieve the original content. And so you need to understand a bit what's behind. So here again, this is an example of a dictionary structure. You define the fonts, okay? And this is a very good example or illustration of something has been modified. You have the name of the dictionary, then you have base font with the internal name and the family name. So here is the font Arial Unicode MS. Then we have the CID, system info, so it's going to make a link with the object 25.0. Then we have the keyword identify. We have the font width, okay? And we have then the font descriptor with the object 26, etc., etc. So again, I don't want to put you everything in your head, just to know that these objects are important, and I will show you how to extract them. This is the key. So when we have a streams, we need to declare the streams, then we have to put the dictionary, and then we define the stream with some binary content, some carriage return, then we have the data streams, and stream, and sometimes and object. It depends. Binary stream, you remember malware inside. This is where you could have malware. By the way, this method I'm showing you could identify when you have binary streams. Normally, in the way we work, we shouldn't have that, okay? And you could sometimes see flat decode. Flat decode will decompress the content of the binary on the zip. So if you see flat decode and the malware, so when you open the PDF, it will decompress and maybe run a dedicated script, okay? So here we have also, you can have in the PDF some JPEG with the other DCT decode. We can have also crypt, which is in format RC4 or AES. So this is an example of a stream. Okay, you see that it could be easy. So you have the stream parameters and the stream content. So now let's be concrete. I have only 10 minutes, so I have to finalize. So first, the signature is checked, and this is the more important. We start with the signature, and then we look for end of file. Then xref, okay, then xref the offset, then and only at this step the trailer. The trailer is analyzed at this step, then the different objects are passed, and some pages could have kids. As I said, we can have many pages. You can have the size of the page, which will be defined in the media box, okay, and then only at the end the page is imprinted on the screen, and you can see sometimes, okay, not always, like some order, like BT, begin text, the TF, the font number, XY, so the position of the font, or if you move from one place to another. So really, again, each PDF is different. But this is how it looks like for a very simple PDF. Okay, so you have the signature, you have the object, you have the resource, you have a small stream. You don't have an end of file here, so you see this is an example of bad PDF, by the way. Okay, so let's be more concrete. Think the most important. This is the slide you must take in picture. Okay, this is the tool. As I said, it's not QR code, it's a real one. So this is, for me, we have 3 or 4 tools that are important. So first, the mu tools. I'm going to use mu tools always, always, always. Because this is Python script, you need to install them on a Linux machine or to compile them on a Windows machine. But definitely, it's a must. Didier Stevens tools. They are amazing tool. Really, you can have not always useful for when you are not doing malware, but really, this is the must. XPDF, this is the PDF viewer I'm using because this is the stronger I've seen. Working on Windows, by the way, but on other platform, but it's definitely the strongest one. Last but not least, okay, Adobe PDF reference. This is the books I want you to take before taking the plane next week. So you have 1,300 pages to know by heart before next week. Okay, so I give you, this is an example of a fake invoice and you see it here, sorry for the guys here. The amount is definitely not the same. You have the amount here, 339. Here I added 3 numbers, okay, that's great. I asked Celebrite to reimburse. I don't know why they refuse. And same here, you see, so I just modify 2 things here. Okay, so this is it. And then the question is here, how I could guess that this is not an original one. You say, okay, JP, you are stupid because you see that the table are not correct. This is true. But let's deep dive now into the original content. The original content is here on the left, so the tables are okay. Okay, both tables didn't change the tables because unless it would have been too many changes. But here, you see I have only one font, PKTH, and so I use the original invoice, and what did I use? I use mu tool info with the name of the PDF. Mutool info give me what? Give me the version of the PDF. The info object, especially the internal modification date and creation date. And this is first thing. Creation date and modification date, if they are the same, definitely it's a good sign that it's an original. And also the producer, okay, give you the producer, and then I retrieve the media box, the font, I have only one font, the image, I have 4 images, okay, and I could then use extract, so Mutool extract, and using Mutool extract, I extract the fonts and I extract the image. By the way, if I have a fake image, it would have been the same. It would have been extracted. Now, let's do it with the fake one. Okay, so with the fake one, this time, I have, one more images, and I have 2 fonts, okay? Already 2 fonts means something, okay? And 2 fonts, you see that it's exactly the same font family, but it's a different object, okay? But here, I do not have a way to, as I said, I do not have a way to see the real uncompressed PDF. And see, to do that, I just need to use a third tool of Mutool, Mutool Clean. And Mutool Clean will uncompress everything. Mutool Clean will definitely create a new invoice, bigger, but with it, this time it will be fully readable. And with this invoice, I can definitely analyze it completely, read the object, and see some nice artifact. Okay, so this is an example of the different object. I could see it here. So I have object 16, 15. So this is the original one. You see that I have the creation date and the modification date, which are the same. So I see, you see the trailer definition. Remember, I told you about the trailers, tag 6ref. So I believe you start understanding, okay, how the PDF is made with the different object. Okay, so I use here a script from, this time I use for Alan, I show you the Didier Stevens, sorry, Alan, the Didier Stevens script, PDF parser. Okay, so Python PDF parser with the invoice, and I have all my object. This is the original invoice. Okay, so I have the fonts, then I analyze the different objects. So based on that, plus I uncompress everything, you see that it's quite readable. Okay, and this is the xref where all the objects are put in the object 13. Okay, and then the object 16 is the last one. Here, I'm going to use the fake one. Then I suddenly discover that I have an object 17 with the new font. Okay, then I have object 18, 19. I have, again, a complete xref part. And so, for instance, object 24 and object 26, I can try to remove it to see what's the consequences. And if I look using PDF parser, okay, you can definitely try to see touch text edit. So here, it will prove that we have made some edit on the original invoice. Okay, text edit, so you can remove this part, and if you remove this part, you see that you don't have the amount anymore. So you know which part was affected by the edit. Okay, this is nice, because then you can prove that it's a fake, and which part was impacted by the fake. Okay, so using that, definitely you can make some advanced investigation and retrieve what is not the original part. So I hope it was useful. I try to keep the schedule, and thank you very much.